Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we'll be diving into the fascinating process of building a wooden cabin deep in the heart of the forest. Follow along as the skilled and determined man uses only natural materials and traditional techniques to create a stunning home surrounded by nature. After an extensive search through the forest, he carefully selected the perfect location for his cabin, a spot that offered stability, protection from the elements, and a breathtaking connection to nature. With the layout finalized, he began the next stage, gathering materials. Large, durable stones were carefully selected from nearby, each one chosen for its strength and size, to form a solid and enduring foundation. Beneath where the floor would later sit, he laid a thick layer of dry grass and vegetation. The grass would act as a buffer, helping to retain warmth during the cold nights and keep the interior cool during hotter days, creating a space that was both cozy and efficient. With the foundation complete, the next stage of construction focused on raising the framework of the cabin. Once the upright pillars were in place, he moved on to the walls. Using wooden planks that he had prepared and shaped by hand, he started assembling the walls, fitting each piece snugly together. The planks were carefully aligned to create a seamless and sturdy barrier, but there were natural gaps between them, a common challenge when working with raw timber. To address this, he used dry grass and other natural materials to fill the spaces. With the main structure of the cabin standing strong, the focus shifted to extending the roof and completing the remaining walls, tasks that require both precision and creativity. To support the surrounding roof, he began by erecting additional wooden columns around the cabin's perimeter. These columns, made from thick, durable logs, were positioned and secured firmly to ensure they could carry the weight of the extended roof. Each column was carefully aligned with the main framework, creating a harmonious and balanced structure that would tie the entire cabin together. The extended roof not only provided additional protection, but also enhanced the cabin's aesthetics, giving it a welcoming and rustic appearance. The overhang created by the roof offered a shaded area around the cabin, ideal for storing firewood or simply enjoying the forest views. With the roof structure finalized, he turned his attention to the remaining walls of the cabin. As he worked, he paid special attention to the joints where the planks met, as these areas were prone to drafts and water seepage. Thought to address this, he filled the gaps between the planks with dry grass and moss. This natural insulation material was carefully packed into every crevice, ensuring a snug fit that would keep the cabin warm and protected. He began by carefully selecting and preparing the logs, stripping away excess bark to ensure clean, uniform surface. These rounded beams were then placed side by side along the triangular frame of the roof, creating a tight, interlocking structure. Each beam was precisely aligned and nailed into position, the rhythmic sound of the hammer echoing through the forest. At the peak of the roof, he incorporated a clever addition, a window. This small but vital feature allowed natural light to stream into the cabin, illuminating the interior and creating a warm, inviting atmosphere. With the wooden beams securely in place, the roof structure was nearly complete, but there was still important work to be done to ensure it was fully functional and weatherproof. The next step involved filling the small gaps between the rounded wooden beams with dry grass and other natural materials. This natural insulation not only enhanced the cabin's resistance to the elements, but also added an additional layer of warmth, making the interior more comfortable in cooler weather. Once the gaps were thoroughly sealed, he moved on to the final stage of the roof construction, adding a protective tarp. The tarp was carefully spread out across the entire roof, covering the wooden beams and extending slightly over the edges to ensure maximum protection. This additional layer was essential to prevent rainwater from seeping through the wooden beams and into the cabin during heavy downpours. With the tarp in place, the roof was now fully equipped to shield the cabin from rain, snow, and moisture. The combination of tightly packed grass insulation and the waterproof tarp created a robust, protective layer, ensuring the interior would remain dry and cozy no matter the weather. With the main roof structure and tarp securely in place, the next step was to add finishing touches that would enhance both the functionality and aesthetic of the cabin. He began by creating a window, a simple yet essential feature that would allow natural light to illuminate the interior while also providing ventilation. Next, he turned his attention back to the roof for additional reinforcement. Although the wooden beams and tarp provided solid protection, he wanted to ensure the cabin was well insulated and prepared for the harsher elements of the forest. To do this, he decided to layer a thick mat of dry grass across the entire roof. As he worked, he revisited the gaps between the wooden beams of the roof. Though many had been filled earlier, he added more dry grass to ensure that every crevice was tightly sealed. This extra effort guaranteed there would be no weak points for drafts, insects, or water to seep through. With the grass firmly packed and layered, the roof now appeared as if it had grown naturally from the forest itself, blending seamlessly into its surroundings. He started by selecting strong, durable logs for the staircase frame. Using his tools, he carefully measured and cut the wood into precise lengths, ensuring each step would be level and secure. The staircase frame was then anchored firmly to the cabin's foundation, with the bottom resting on a solid base of flat stones to prevent sinking or shifting over time. Each step was crafted from smooth, evenly cut planks, which he nailed securely to the supporting frame. As he worked, he tested each step for stability, ensuring it could bear weight comfortably. Once the pathway was complete, he turned his attention to the roof window itself. Positioned at the peak of the cabin, the window offered breathtaking views of the forest canopy, but required protective railings to ensure safety. He started by framing the window with vertical posts, spaced evenly around its perimeter. These posts were securely fastened to the roof beams, providing a stable foundation for the railings. With the cabin structure completed, he shifted his focus to creating functional additions that would make the space more comfortable and practical for daily life. His next task was to craft a dining table and build an outdoor kitchen, turning the cabin into a fully livable retreat in the heart of the forest. The finished table was both robust and visually striking, blending seamlessly with the cabin's natural surroundings. Placed just outside the cabin, it provided a perfect spot to enjoy meals while taking in the peaceful forest views. Next, he moved on to constructing an outdoor kitchen designed for cooking and preparing meals in the open air. For the cooking area itself, he arranged stones into a circular for a pit on the platform. Above it, he installed a wooden rack that could hold pots and pans over an open flame, making it easy to prepare hearty meals. After completing the outdoor kitchen, he turned his attention to building an indoor cooking area that would provide a convenient and sheltered space for meal preparation during bad weather. He began by mixing a batch of mortar using clay, sand, and water, creating a thick, workable consistency. This natural mixture would serve as the adhesive for building the cooking structure. Using flat stones and bricks he had gathered earlier, he carefully laid the foundation for the indoor stove, ensuring it was level and sturdy. Each stone was set into place with a layer of mortar, and he used his hands and a trowel to smooth out the joints, creating a seamless and durable base. For the main cooking surface, he repurposed an old metal table he had salvaged. The table's robust iron frame made it ideal for supporting heavy cookware and enduring high heat. He modified it by cutting an opening in the center to accommodate a cooking fire or a wood-burning stove. This design allowed the metal table to double as both a sturdy countertop and a functional cooking surface. He secured the table in place, embedding its legs into the mortar base for added stability. Next, he constructed a chimney system to vent smoke safely out of the cabin. Using bricks and mortar, he built a vertical chimney stack directly above the stove. The chimney was carefully angled and shaped to guide the smoke upward and out of the cabin, preventing it from accumulating indoors. Once the mortar had dried and the structure was solid, he tested the stove by lighting a small fire. The smoke funneled smoothly through the chimney and out into the open air, confirming that the system worked perfectly. The old metal table proved to be an excellent choice, offering a durable and heat-resistant surface for cooking while adding a rustic charm to the kitchen's design. With the indoor kitchen complete, he turned his attention to furnishing the cabin's interior, aiming to make it both functional and comfortable. He started by crafting sturdy work tables that could serve multiple purposes, from meal preparation to crafting and other daily tasks. Using thick wooden planks for the tabletops, he sanded them smooth to eliminate splinters while maintaining a rustic finish. The legs were made from strong logs, cut to uniform lengths for stability, and reinforced with diagonal braces to ensure durability. To complement the tables, he built simple yet sturdy chairs. These featured solid wooden seats and slightly angled backrests for added comfort, all securely attached using wooden pegs and nails. To make the work tables even more practical, he installed hooks and shelves above them for storage. The shelves, crafted from leftover planks, were mounted securely to the walls with wooden brackets, providing space to organize tools, utensils, and supplies. Below the shelves, he attached hooks made from bent nails or carved wood, perfect for hanging coats, hats, or small items, keeping the workspace tidy and efficient. With these additions, the cabin was transformed into a fully livable space. The work tables and chairs provided functional areas for daily tasks, while the hooks and shelves kept the space organized and clutter-free. Once the lower level was organized, he turned his focus to the loft area, which he planned to use as his sleeping space. He began by installing large wooden beams across the upper section of the cabin, ensuring they were firmly anchored into the walls to support his weight. These beams formed the foundation for the loft floor, which he covered with flat wooden planks to create a sturdy platform. Positioned near the roof to take advantage of rising heat from the stove, the loft offered a warm and cozy retreat. He laid down a layer of dry grass for insulation and placed a simple mattress on top, completing the sleeping area. After finishing his task for the day, he decided to prepare a hearty meal to recharge. Once the meal was ready, he plated the tender, golden brown meat alongside the bread and sat down at his handmade wooden table. The oil lamp's warm glow illuminated the simple but satisfying feast. As the first light of morning pierced through the canopy, casting a soft glow over the forest floor, he began his day with renewed energy and purpose. It wasn't long before he spotted a massive, long dead tree stump lying in a secluded part of the forest. After carefully preparing the stump, he set off to gather more materials. He knew that the next step would require a great deal of wood, so he focused on finding large, straight logs that could be used for the floor of the cabin. Upon returning, he wasted no time in laying the logs out on the ground, preparing to build the floor of the cabin. He positioned them carefully, one by one, forming a solid platform on top of the dead tree stump. The logs interlocked perfectly, their thick, rough edges fitting together with a satisfying click. He used wooden pegs and nails to secure the logs in place, working tirelessly until the floor was firm and stable, capable of supporting the structure that would rise above it. With the floor complete, he shifted his focus to the next stage of construction, the roof. He had always imagined the cabin with a steep, triangular roof designed to shed rain and snow with ease. To create this, he gathered more logs, carefully selecting the longest and straightest pieces. He began building the roof frame, placing the logs at sharp angles, their ends meeting at a central peak. Each log was notched and secured with ropes, wooden pegs, and nails, forming the sturdy frame of the roof. As the structure came together, he could see the cabin taking shape, its elevated design now rising against the backdrop of the towering trees. After completing the floor and the frame of the cabin, he turned his attention to the next phase, the roof. He had envisioned a sturdy, natural roof that would blend seamlessly with the surrounding forest. He worked methodically, layering the logs side by side, ensuring there were no gaps where rain or wind could enter. As he worked, the structure slowly transformed, the roof becoming more defined, its shape taking form. Once the wooden beams were in place, he continued by covering the roof with a thick tarp. This added layer would provide extra protection against the elements, ensuring that the cabin would stay dry even during heavy rains. He stretched the tarp tightly across the beams, securing it with ropes and nails, making sure that it was perfectly taut and fitted to the frame. The combination of the wooden beams and the tarp formed a reliable, weatherproof roof that would keep the cabin safe and warm. With the roof secured, he turned to the walls, completing the final touches of the main cabin. He carefully measured and cut large wooden planks, fitting them into the gaps between the frame and nailing them securely into place. The walls took shape quickly, with each plank fitting snugly against the next. As he worked, he could feel the cabin becoming more complete. Each layer would add into the strength and character of the structure. The walls were tall and sturdy, offering shelter and privacy, while still allowing a glimpse of the surrounding forest through small gaps between the planks. He had one more project in mind, an even smaller cabin for his loyal dog. He gathered more wood, this time choosing smaller logs and planks, and began constructing a miniature version of the cabin, scaled down to fit his dog's needs. The frame was quicker to build, and the roof was much simpler, but the attention to detail remained the same. Just as with the main cabin, he used strong wooden beams for the roof, followed by a tarp to ensure it was weatherproof. He worked diligently, ensuring the dog's cabin would be just as sturdy and cozy as his own. With the walls completed, he added the finishing touches: a small door, some ventilation gaps, and a soft patch of straw for bedding. By the time he finished, both cabins were complete: his own elevated shelter and a smaller, cozy home for his dog. With a sense of pride, he stood back and admired his work. His cabin, now fully sheltered and protected, stood as a testament to his hard work, creativity, and the quiet life he had built deep in the forest. After finishing the small cabin for his dog, he shifted his focus to expanding the area around his treehouse and envisioning a space for outdoor cooking and dining. He began by laying down the logs, side by side, creating a stable and even surface. The logs fit together snugly, forming a strong, natural floor. He took care to align the pieces perfectly, ensuring that they were level and securely fastened. Next, he turned his attention to the path leading from this new outdoor area to the main cabin. He decided to use large, circular slices of wood, each one cut from fallen trees or branches, and placed them along the ground to form a smooth, flat surface for walking. He carefully spaced them out, creating a winding trail that led from the new floor space beneath the treehouse to the main structure above. The circular pieces of wood, with their smooth, flat surfaces, provided an easy, safe path to follow, even on days when the ground was damp or muddy. After completing the outdoor cooking area, he decided it was time to build a proper oven to enhance his outdoor cooking experience. He envisioned a wood-fired oven, a simple yet effective way to prepare meals in the wilderness. He began by selecting a thick log, large enough to serve as the main body of the oven. Using his tools, he carefully carved out the core of the log, hollowing it out to create a chamber where the fire could burn. Once the hollowed-out log was ready, he moved on to constructing a sturdy base to support the oven. He gathered more logs and large stones, stacking them carefully to form a stable platform. The base would not only support the weight of the oven, but also provide a heat-resistant foundation. He placed the log oven on top of the base, securing it firmly in place. To make the oven more durable and heat-resistant, he mixed clay with stones to form a protective layer around the hollow log. The stones would help distribute the heat evenly while preventing the log from burning out too quickly. He carefully applied the clay and stone mixture around the oven's core, building up the walls to create an insulating layer. This would help retain heat inside the oven, allowing him to cook with maximum efficiency while also protecting the structure from the intense temperatures of the fire. After completing the wood-fired oven, he decided to enhance the outdoor space further by building a rustic dining area. He began crafting a simple set of wooden benches and a sturdy table, perfect for enjoying meals under the trees. Using logs and planks he had gathered, he skillfully shaped and joined the pieces together, creating a comfortable and functional dining set. To make the space feel even more connected to nature, he decorated the surrounding path and outdoor area with lush ferns. The vibrant green ferns added a fresh touch, while also helping to keep the path free from overgrowth. Next, he turned his attention to finishing the gaps in his large cabin. The thick layer of grass not only helped with insulation, but also kept the cabin draft-free, creating a cozy and comfortable atmosphere inside. He worked slowly, making sure each gap was filled fairly, completing the cabin's walls and giving it a more finished, well-maintained look. With the cabin and outdoor dining area complete, he focused on preparing for his evening meal. Once the fire had settled into a perfect bed of embers, he carefully placed the meat onto the grill and began cooking. By the time the sun began to set, he had a hearty and delicious meal ready to enjoy.